I'm Tanko Inc.
Tanko, friend for like 20 years now, moved here from Ghana.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
I swear to God, Tanko, for years, you're the funniest person I know, just like naturally and unnaturally. And I wanted to tour the country with you. And I wanted to.
I remember you saying that.
I'm gonna actually name this show. I'm gonna call it "It Takes Two to Tanko."
Yes. You and my one HR manager one time.
I just got back from the Bahamas, and when I was there, I saw some cultural things and whatnot, and then when I got home, I watched a little video on Ghana. So like, you didn't have to come. I can tell you everything you already need to know.
Yeah, 30-minute video is representative.
I got it. Yeah, but I was there with a couple of friends, Jean and Lydia Doobie, and she was in HR, and I learned a lot about HR over the week just in casual conversations. And what's funny is that's actually how you and I met.
Yes.
So Tanko started at Sears. It was like 2004. Yeah, like 2004, and he started at Sears for his seasonal, and I'd worked there for a little bit, and it was January, right?
Yeah, you gonna tell that story?
Yeah, right. I came to your house to pick you up.
Yeah,
and we were driving to work, and I said, "Are you gonna stick around after seasonal?" And there was this job we applied for HR. Yeah, and you're like, "Oh, they gave me the HR position." I was like, "What?" So you came and then took my job, and then I was like, "It took our job."
What is it called? Is it Family Guy? South Park. They took our jobs.
Oh God, so good. All right, so let's talk. Ghana, tell us a little bit.
Right. So one of the things a lot of Americans don't know about Ghana is Ghana is actually English speaking.
Okay.
Yeah, we were colonized by the British.
Okay.
So growing up, all my education was done in English.
Okay. And
then when I come here, everybody's asking, when did you learn English?
Like the whole time?
Right, I've been speaking it. But it's one of the West African countries.
Okay.
There are 16 countries in West Africa.
Okay.
Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and I think one of the Gambias are the only English speaking. So there's 6 out of the 16 that are English speaking.
Okay.
The rest are Francophone. I mean, they speak French.
French.
Yeah, I was going to call you white boy, but...
Yes, it's I pick up... Every time I call him, he goes, white boy.
But so I just grew up there, did my education from the northern part, went well, and then came to IUP for my graduate school studies, and that's where I met you.
Yeah, that's where we met.
We've been friends since.
Yeah, it's been good. We hadn't talked in a long time, and then just like for some reason over like the last couple of holidays, we sent each other a couple messages, and I was like, I've wanted to do this forever. And I text some friends now. I'm like, when do you want to come on? All this kind of stuff. And they're always like, I got this, I got that. I'll come on next week. I really want to do this. I text you and you were at my front doorstep before.
I mean, you're just a good person.
I love that.
I got to be with, and in a relationship, I've realized you got to work at it. Like you have to give something to get something.
Yes.
Right? To just sit down and wish things happen for me has proven not to be the case.
Yes. And I think that's super important too, because there's so many people that are like, oh, I love you, I this and that. Not me personally, but they don't actually follow through and show it.
Yes.
And I think that's super important. But you did say something like, to get something, you have to give something.
Yes.
So what are you trying to get out of me?
I mean, the relationship.
No. Oh,
yeah. We have to work on that relationship. Yeah? Because I mean, you sold me cars. I mean, I did take advantage of that.
Yes, I've dealt with 100 people, or literally thousands of people, and you were so mean. We weren't even friends during that.
No, I mean, I got a bargain.
I didn't even know we'd known each other for like 3 months. You came in; it was like my first month there. And you had you were getting started, so you had zero credit.
Yeah,
and I said
0.
Yeah, and I was like, I think you might have a co-signer. And within 5 minutes, your wife was there. Right? I didn't even know you were married.
Oh, you did it at the time.
I was at your house one time too.
And you didn't meet her?
No, you know what? I wasn't at your house yet. I think because
where I lived on Philly Street that you came.
Yeah,
I wasn't married at that time.
Okay, that makes sense. So we did miss a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, I was angry at you for stealing my car. I couldn't pay attention.
I mean, you fed me at that time.
I did.
Yeah, so I went home and told him, like, he dipped bread in some tomato thing and gave it to me.
So we had a little exchange. I've made a bunch of grilled cheese, which
Yes.
I've got better at too
Right.
since then, just so you know.
Okay.
And I was thinking that's the most American thing I can give you is like grilled cheese and tomato soup because I figure if you don't like that, we got some issues.
Yeah, yeah. We'll
So-
probably never be friends.
So in exchange, I came over and had peanut butter soup.
Yes.
So tell us about that. How do you make that?
And you know, I got to give you credit too. Your willingness to try, right?
I immediately.
Yes, most people, you tell them peanut butter soup, and it's immediately disgusting to them,
Yeah.
right? So soup out of peanut butter, and then when you start to say, okay, well, to make it, I got to put tomato paste. I have to add all my spices. You're like, tomato paste? You add meat. You add
Yeah.
water. And the concept of that to an American is just crazy.
Yeah, and one of my favorite foods is wings.
Yeah.
And it was essentially so peanut butter soup is you boil the peanut butter.
Yep.
The oil kind of rises to the
Yep.
top. You mix in a lot of like
Tomato paste and sauce.
it's spicy a little
Yep.
bit. And
Yep.
then what do you put chicken in it?
Yep, chicken or any type of meat that you
Any
like.
type of meat.
Yeah.
And then I remember that little white ball.
Maggi.
Maggi?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, put Maggi.
So this is where it didn't get weird, but it was different. So then we all sat on the floor
Yeah.
around the coffee table.
Yes.
And there was that.
Oh, you're talking about we call it teaser, the corn dough made out of corn flour.
It was white and
Yes.
it was like almost rice, but not quite mashed potatoes.
Yeah,
but something like that.
yeah. We call it TZ.
And what's that? Say it again.
TZ, which basically is TZ.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we all just kind of pulled a little off,
Yes,
and then we
yes.
dipped it in our food, but we all shared. It was a community.
Yes.
It was a community, and we
Yes.
had our individual bowls. Then and then we ate chicken and stuff like that. And it was just I would eat it again.
Right.
It was different though, but it was in true peanut oil. Though.
It
Like,
is.
yeah.
It is. And to a Ghanaian, especially where I come from in Ghana, the northern Ghanaian, it's something we eat every day.
Mm-hmm.
All
right.
You gotta have some type of peanut soup or stew somewhere
Okay.
every single day.
Where do you think that came from? Accessibility.
Accessibility and I think versatility, like because we also use peanuts to do so many other things.
Yes. What do you the amount of waste in the States compared to Ghana is probably ridiculous, isn't it?
Yes. A lot of the things we waste here, and I use we because now I'm an
Now
American.
you're right, yeah.
We waste here are very useful in Ghana.
Yeah.
Right from clothing all the way down to food.
Yeah. I watched a video last week and it was something silly, but they wanted to know how to get rid of bacon grease and they put a piece of foil in the sink, dumped the
Yeah.
bacon grease in it, and then came out. And I forgot about this. So many people commented like, one, why would you waste foil?
Right?
Two, why would you waste bacon grease? There's so
Yes.
many things. Put it in a jar. Now you don't have the
Yeah.
foil. And I was like, that's such a simple concept because when I was a kid, we saved everything. There were 7 of us growing up in a small
Yes.
place, and
Yes.
that's how we did everything. And my mom told me this one time that her mom used to put, I think it was milk in like cream corn, which sounds gross to
Yeah.
me, but it was because they had so many kids.
Yes,
and it
and
was
we-
like, yeah,
We made a type of food called wagashi, which is basically the milk allowed to ferment over time. And
Ooh.
you can fry it.
Fried milk. Yeah, man. Yeah, all right, let's try some fried milk. That's not gross.
And then when it comes to the oil, to date, Ashley and I, when we buy peanut butter, the top is always oil.
Yeah.
I would drain that oil, and that's what I would use to fry my eggs.
Okay.
It smells and tastes so good.
So Oh, buddy, I love it. I absolutely love it. So let come to America. What year was it?
I came in 2004, August.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
met literally
Right.
in like
a few-
October.
Yes.
So that was your first
My
job.
first job out of campus.
So I was your first friend.
You actually were. I was
Really?
telling you that. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
my first
American.
non-Ghanaian
Yeah,
friend.
yeah. Well, you're my first Ghanian friend. So it's
Non-Ghanaian friend. And when I came here, I had no concept of anything.
Yeah.
Direction, food, nothing.
Okay.
I was just lucky I ran into a Ghanaian professor who, like my very first 5 days, just sat me down. So, okay, in America, this is what we do. This is how we do that. And just coached me on how to take care of myself, like
Okay.
bathing.
I think that's important.
Yeah, cleaning, He didn't actually tell me how to do laundry, which I had to take time to learn.
So, all right, all
Right.
right. I'm gonna clip in. I know there's a place in town that does that, and I've been there before. I just can't remember the name of it. But how did you do laundry at home?
When I first got here,
No, at home in Ghana.
in Ghana, we actually put water in a bucket, and with a
Yeah,
hand soap, soap bar, you just wash it
yeah.
manually with your hands.
Okay.
So I come here and I don't see anybody doing that, and I don't even see a bucket.
We got a big spinning bucket. Yeah,
I'd never been to a laundromat.
yeah.
I had no concept.
Hey, yeah.
So, and you know, I had zero concept. I get off the bus, I'm just holding my bags and nowhere to go. I have no idea. And I just saw people go in the dining hall, Folger. And I said, well, whatever is in that building is
Looks
good.
good. Follow the herd.
Yeah, everybody's going there.
Yeah.
So I went in there. It turns out it was a dining hall.
Okay.
And then they gave me directions, gave me a telephone directory, and I called the professor from the directory. You know, this was 2004.
So you already had lodging set up though.
No,
What?
I had zero idea of what.
So
I was
hold
doing.
on. You get off a plane
Yes.
in Pittsburgh.
Actually, I flew in through New York and then got on the train from New York to Lancaster and drove from Lancaster on a bus to Indiana.
I'm surprised you can walk with the size of your balls, man.
Hey, like, you know, I told you, like, you gotta work at things.
Yeah.
If you just fold and say, "Oh, it's not going to happen," it's difficult. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, sometimes I'll be like, I want to go to my parents today. It's a half an hour away. I got this, I got that, blah, blah, blah. And when you messaged me this morning, you were like, I'm in Chicago. And I was like, what are you doing in Chicago? Coming to Indiana today. And you're just like, boom. Yeah. Also, what's it like to be rich, to be able to just go anywhere you want at all times?
I wouldn't know because I'm I'm not rich yet.
Yeah.
I do just have a job that allows me to travel around.
Who do you work for?
I work for a company called ICP Group right now.
Okay. What do
Hedge fund company.
HVAC?
Hedge fund.
Hedge fund. That's
Yeah.
way different.
Yeah.
So you're a hedge fund baby. You got all the money.
Well, they got all the money.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just an employee.
And you do safety for them?
Yes.
It's an interesting doing safety for you would think it's just a paper moving company.
The way maybe before I joined them, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
But
that's
but what hedge fund companies basically do is they buy other companies, fix them up, increase the value of the company, and sell them. Or
So they're just like flipping houses.
by companies,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
So depending on the value of the company, they'll say, "Well, let's hold this. It will make us more money down the road."
Okay.
And to hold it, you got to invest in it, put the equipment in, get the personnel. And in the meantime, if your employees get hurt, you will hear from OSHA or other
Yes.
regulatory agencies.
Okay.
So
Okay.
people like me come in to help reduce the risk.
So when people come in, do they like you're talking everything from cleaning house with employees, but also probably buildings too, like remodeling and cleaning them up, that sort of stuff?
Yeah. Sometimes we have a spill. In fact, right now as we're talking, I started a conversation with, they may be your competitors right now, Heritage,
Okay.
to clean up one of our secondary containment, in fact, two of them in one of our Chicago plants.
Yeah.
So they're going to go to survey the plant, look at what needs cleaned up, or what it's going to take, and then give me a quote.
Yeah, that's exactly what ServPro
Yeah.
does. So if you
Yeah.
actually need help, we're franchise owned and we're all over the country. So if
Right.
you need something, I mean, I might be able to help you out.
You guys do industrial cleanups?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
industrial cleanups. We
Yeah.
do post construction cleanup.
Right.
I mean, if a house burns down, we board it up. If your pipe busts in the third story of wherever, we come clean that up. Mold, not antimicrobial or mold, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if there's something we can do, and that's what we did, hurricane cleanup and whatnot. And it's serveprovindiana.com. Or wait, just Serveprov Indiana. I'll put the link in. That's where I
Right.
work. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And we can set you up. We will have a vendor or contractor qualification process, and I would imagine Serpro is probably already signed up with
100%.
ISN.
There's the best part about I think ServPro is it is franchise owned and mom and pop run. It feels like
right.
so it's like you kind of get the protection of the franchise, but you kind of get the hometown feel of mom and pop. So that way you can do stuff. But the good news about that is like if IUP fell down tomorrow,
Yeah.
I could have 3,000 people there by like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so,
And I've seen
yeah.
you guys your mobilization, like
Yeah.
all the Serpro trucks.
Yeah, that's
Right.
awesome. The good. I didn't expect to get this out of this, but that's
Hey, I mean, I used to live in Florida where we had
Mm.
hurricanes. So
I
when
was there.
yeah, whenever
Yeah.
we have a hurricane, the last hurricane that I worked on when left was Emma.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you have any industrial spills, leaks, and remember sometimes we have chemicals in the plant
100%.
that you
Yeah.
cannot allow to get in the water. So if
Yeah.
you have such spill, we look for people like you.
Good, good. I'm good at residential stuff because I've worked with residents over the years,
Right,
like 40, 50 cars a month for a long time. But I haven't gotten good at commercial stuff yet, and that's something
right,
I'm going to work on this
right.
year. I think is getting a little better at
Yeah,
that.
because I think that's where the money is, right?
Oh yeah, that's why I always go for the low.
Low hanging
I don't
fruit.
need to make money about. All right, so let's get back to. Do you want to talk about like 2004 through 2010? Let's say your first couple years here.
Yeah.
That's your time in Pennsylvania. What was your time
Yes.
in Pennsylvania?
I was in Pennsylvania from 2004 to 2012.
Okay, so 5 years.
Yeah,
So
5 years.
how were you? How would you think you were received by the local people?
In fact, and the only place that I lived until I started moving around was Indiana and then
Okay,
Pittsburgh.
okay,
So my perspective is Indiana and Pittsburgh specific.
okay.
I can tell you, Indiana being a small town for me was a blessing.
Yes.
It,
Okay, that's awesome to hear.
yeah, it set me up. Oh man, I have a very funny story about Indiana. You won't even believe it.
All right, go.
But Indiana set me up to understand the American culture,
Yes.
to understand small town, and honestly, to understand the value of hard work.
Yeah.
And I think from that perspective, I've never been with any company or anywhere where laziness is thrown at me because
Yes.
people know if you give me the task, it's going to get done.
Yes.
And
I
my
love
boss
that.
tells me that all the time, and I learned that value from here.
Okay.
Now, listen to the funny story.
All right.
December 24th, 2004.
So Christmas Eve 2004.
Yes.
Yeah.
As an international student, had no friends yet.
Okay.
I was just hanging around. I went
Man,
to.
you would have came to Christmas with me had we.
I
actually
would
met.
have.
Yeah.
I would have.
Yeah.
And so I'm shopping at Tim Martins. It was
Okay.
yeah,
Grocery store. Yeah.
I don't know if they're so called Martins.
It is.
Okay, so I went there and I'm standing there. This lady walks up to me, and she goes, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I said, I'm okay." She walks away and comes back and says, "Did you say you were okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And at this point, I'm getting irritated because,
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the answer is so simple, right? So she goes, "Did you just say okay?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "You got to be better than okay." And okay, whatever you're thinking, that is what I am,
Yeah.
right? She goes, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I'm like, tomorrow is just another day for me.
Yeah.
She goes, "It's Christmas Day." I said, "Okay." I mean,
You don't celebrate Christmas? Then?
I got my hometown, we
Yeah.
don't, and my tribe and my religion, we don't.
Okay.
And it was just going to be another day.
Sure.
Right. So she said, "Well, how about you join me and my family for Christmas tomorrow?"
That's awesome.
And I'm like, "You don't know me? Like apart from this interaction, we've never said anything to each other.
Yeah.
I've never seen you. And you're inviting me to your house." I said, "Okay, I'm going to take you up on that offer."
Good.
Right. So I said, "Okay, I would." So she gave me her number.
Okay.
And this is a small town thing. This would
Yeah,
never
so
happen to you.
Chance of getting murdered, was it 0 to 100? Did you
In
even think?
in my mind, 1,000. Because the day before we had just watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh yeah, you're done. And that's like, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know it's not the Appalachians, but where are the
Yes.
Appalachians? We
Oh,
got some-
I was pretty close.
Do you remember what town?
Near Johnstown, but she met me right here in Indiana. PA.
Okay, all right.
So she gave me her number and she said, "I'll come and pick you up tomorrow." So I'm like, this woman is serious.
Yeah.
So
she
I go
really
home.
wants to kill me.
Yeah, I go home and I gave her number to my friends in England, Australia, Canada, and somewhere in Texas, Atlanta. And I said, "Okay, I'm gonna take this risk.
Yeah.
If by 9 p.m. tomorrow you guys don't hear from me, call this number."
I like that. See, that was smart though. That really was. I mean, I know that, but it was smart.
I'm just trying to be safe. so she comes in the 25th, and there was a gentleman sitting on the back of the car. Remember, I had just seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I'm like, why would you come with somebody and that person is sitting at the back of the car? They got to be sitting on the driver's side next to you.
Yeah, because it's intimidating. You
Exactly.
don't want.
He's just gonna tie a rope behind my neck.
Yeah.
And I have no defense.
A lot of soldiers, I do this too because of that. They always sit with their face towards the door because they want
Yes.
to know if something's coming
How am
in.
I gonna get out?
Yeah.
So she's like, well, he's my husband. He's a pastor, and his knees are not good, so he needs more space. And remember,
Convenient.
2004 wasn't too far away from 9/11.
Not
So
no, it wasn't.
Americans were still on the edge for foreigners. So I was very cautious about that. And I said, well, either that guy says up front or I'm not going. And she goes, he's old, he can't sit up front. I'm like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll go. So I sit in, look, I examine him really well. Now she starts to move and we're driving towards Johnstown. On the road, it's Christmas Day. There's not a single car on the road. And my fear level was just increasing every mile.
Yeah.
Then we drive up to a house up on the hill before you get into Johnstown. And I see a lot of cars. And I said, okay, whatever this is,
Feels better.
yeah, there's a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
people
yeah.
here.
Mm-hmm.
She opens the door. There were kids walking around.
Oh, you.
And I'm like, oh, these are not murderers.
Yeah,
I will
instant
survive
relief.
this.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
What I did was I forgot to call my friends to tell them I'm safe. 9 o'clock hits. Her phone is going off the hook from all countries. And she's like, how did they get my number?
Oh, that's the funniest thing.
So we became friends, and I went to her house. Her daughter was going to IUP at the time.
Okay.
They started bringing me food, and it just goes to talk about the hospitality of a small town.
Yes, because I say this a lot, and there's some we talked about earlier, some kind of accidental racism, unintended stuff, and I just feel like people here, I think they're shirt off, their back type of people.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
some of that stuff is accidental, some of it is lack of awareness, some
Yes.
of it is it's
Yes.
learned behavior.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think people here are inherently good,
Right.
and it's less here than it is in other places.
Yes. And frankly, I think whenever people here act racist, it's not intended to hurt you.
Yes.
They just don't know any better, like those who do it.
Like phrases. And
Yeah, the phrases,
verbiage,
they don't know it hurts.
the intention behind it.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't know it hurts. I have a lot of people in my travels around act racist towards me,
Okay.
but then the same person will turn around and ask you, can I come mow your lawn? And in fact, my neighbors right now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a snow plow.
Yeah.
They plow my snow every single time.
That's fantastic. I love hearing
They
these
cut
things.
my grass, like different things. But the same one of them will come and say, "Hey, don't stand outside because our housing value will go down." Now, clearly, right? You don't say that, but the same person just mowed my lawn.
Yeah, I didn't mean to laugh that hard. I wasn't laughing, but I was so ironic. I was like, whatever.
So I get confused. I'm like, should I confront them?
Yes.
Or just let them wallow? And I call it ignorance, not to be mean, but
Yeah.
they really don't know.
Yes. So ignorant in our small town, and like the word means ignorant being mean, but the real meaning of ignorant is you just don't know.
They just know.
Yeah,
They don't know.
so-
And it happens both ways.
Oh, yeah.
I was just telling Meg a story. I took
Yeah.
Ashley to Ghana. I went to Ghana with Ashley.
Yeah.
We were going to the national park.
Yeah.
And the way they charge is supposed to be natives and non-natives.
Yeah.
But they reduce it to black and white.
Okay.
So they said
That old chestnut.
exactly. They said, oh, $2 for a black guy, $10 for a white girl.
Yeah.
And like, so you're charging whites more than you're charging black
5 times.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But what they really mean is if you're a native, you pay $2. If you're a non-native, you pay $10, regardless of your race. But all natives are black, right?
Yes.
So they just literally translate it that way.
Yeah.
And until we explained it to the person, he was standing his ground. And I said, look, if somebody did this to me in America, you're not going to like it. He goes, yeah, that's racism. I said, but you just did the exact same thing.
Right.
And then he started to think about it. And
Yeah.
he relaxed his position and we went into the park.
That's good. In the States, like the Chicago Red Line is what they did it.
Yeah.
It was a map. Boom, here's the street. If you live north of the street, you're good. You live on the south side of the street, can't buy anything. Because
Wow.
your address, you can't get credit,
Yeah,
you can't get anything.
yeah.
And there's been suits and stuff over the years because the demographic in that town was mostly black.
Right.
And then their interest rates are higher, or they can't buy
Yes,
anything, and
yes.
they're held. And even Andrew Carnegie,
Yeah. Yeah.
he he paid his like some of his employees in like Carnegie bucks,
Yeah.
you
So they
know,
show up in the
it-
company store.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
weren't allowed like say eggs were $3 here, they were $2 outside. It didn't matter. You have to pay him here, and
Yes.
he really held a lot of people back
Right.
over the years, and it's the I hate big business.
Yeah. And those are the type of racism that I fight, because
Okay,
then those ones are intentional, they are institutionalized, they are actually meant to achieve a goal.
yeah,
Um, but uh, John Smith on the street there
yeah,
doesn't know me, so he didn't target me personally. Just happened to say something wrong.
yeah,
I'm going my way. Whatever John Smith does doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect
yeah.
my life. But I had a job before, and I won't name the company, but accidentally they emailed me the entire company pay structure. Yeah, the entire company from whoever to the last person. And so I took it home and then reduced it into a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And, I have HR
Yeah,
background.
yeah, yeah.
So I did a compensation structure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized the day they hired me and some other lady, it was just 1 week apart.
Yeah.
And she was making $30,000 more than me.
$30,000 more than you.
Me. I had more education.
And that's weird because we usually suppress women too.
Right. I don't know about this show, but she was a white woman.
I'm just messing. Yeah. Listen.
So she made $30,000 more than me. And so
Okay.
I just took the spreadsheet
And your qualifications were better and all that stuff.
I had more education, I had more professionalized education. So I just took it to our boss and I said, look, I love my job.
Yeah.
But you gotta give me a reason. I like any reason.
Yes.
Why this person is making more than me.
Yeah.
He came back and said, I couldn't. We made you an offer, you accepted it, and you got to live with it. However, we're going to promote you and give you more money. So I said, well, they're trying to meet me halfway, right?
Okay.
So I took the offer.
Was it 30 grand more?
No, so that's the thing. So they gave me $18,000 more than what I was making, which means I still got to cover the $30,000 gap.
Yeah, right.
But the fact that they were willing to work with me and make progress made me stay with them at least for one more year.
Okay.
And I said, well, so next year we got to correct this anomaly. Else, at the time, I didn't know my value, right? I just graduated from college with safety. So when the year came around and they just gave me a 3% increase, the woman was still making $18,000 more than me. And I was like, okay, now it's time to look elsewhere.
All right, so let's go back to the native, non-native thing you said about being at home.
Yeah.
Is there a chance you think they gave you less money because your value would be less based on your culture? I mean, I'm talking your cultural knowledge. You don't know enough about America, so your conversation. And this was HR. What were you doing at the time?
Safety.
So you were doing safety.
Yeah.
So you don't know some of the verbiage, lingo, and I know it's not right, it's not fair. But do you think the logic was somewhere along there, or do you think it was just?
It probably made sense to the person who made me the offer at the time.
Yeah.
Because I was coming out of college, and frankly, you think I have an accent now?
Yeah.
You know me then.
Yeah, you're like, Mingo, where do I put the ping pong bat?
Exactly.
And I'm like, what's a ping pong bat? Yeah.
Right. So you know me then, and in safety, you got to do training.
Yeah.
So when I'm training people, I could see it in their faces. They're like staring at me, and you can just tell they don't understand the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Up to date, I don't know how to pronounce the word fuel, like Fuel.
Oh, fuel.
The way you say
Petra.
Yeah,
that's what they call it in English.
So petrol in Ghana, right? So
or gas. Just say gas.
Now I say gas.
Yeah.
Right? But as a safety person, I'm teaching fire prevention, and if I say the word fuel, I say fuel.
Yeah.
To an American, they are heard on foil. FOIL.
Yeah.
Right. So it's confusing to my audience.
Sure.
So if you're my boss and you're like, well, this guy can barely make his point, maybe you can justify paying him less.
Have enough. Yeah. All right. That sucks.
It does. It did. And when I thought they didn't meet me where I wanted, I opened up my resume on Monster and LinkedIn. And the first offer that came was 2 times what I was making at the time. I'm like, it's Minnesota, but it's cold.
Wait till you get there.
Right? So everybody like who knew I took the offer, like, you think Pittsburgh is cold and you are going to Minnesota?
I didn't know you lived in Minnesota.
Oh, I live in Minneapolis for a year and a half.
What was cultural like there?
It was extremely cold. This was
Oh,
2013.
I'm sorry. So the weather was extremely
Yeah,
cold. Yeah.
yeah, that was a year of the polar vortex too.
Yeah.
Right, man.
Like polar vortex 2, the electric boogaloo. The first
Yeah,
one wasn't
man.
quite good enough.
I just came to work one day. I'm like, man, I can't do this. I called Ashley and I said, dude, I gotta go back to Pittsburgh. This is too cold for me.
This is one of those things where you're like, heck with it, I'm just go to America, and you're like, heck with it, I'll go to Minnesota. I'm like, this is what almost got me killed that Christmas.
Right, exactly.
Like curiosity killed the cat.
Yes.
Yeah.
It didn't take long to find out that wasn't for me. So I just drove from Minneapolis all the way back to Pittsburgh. I think it was 16 to some hours.
Okay.
Spent the night in Chicago and then came back. Thank God Ashley forgave me for that mistake.
Because you guys have lived in different parts of the country.
Yeah.
She's lived here, you've lived there, you're raising kids, that sort of stuff.
Moved around, man.
All right. I think we take a break. We're about half an hour in. That was the quickest half an hour of my life. So when we get back, we're going to talk about how you were the most handsome man in America now.
Oh, man. The one that featured in the Coming to America movie.
All right, guys, we'll be right back.
All right.
All right, so coming back from break, we decided we're going to talk a little bit about the international students.
Yeah.
And what do you you said you started a small YouTube channel yourself trying to educate international students from Ghana, especially, on how to start. Do you want to go on about that?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it starts with when international students make the decision to go to school in America.
Yeah.
And why they would choose a school like IUP.
Yes.
And how I ended up in IUP.
Okay.
And I cannot tell you how many times I've run into people asking me, why IUP?
Yeah, and people think like we're this negative area.
Yeah.
And like wherever, and I think that's anywhere you grow up is like, why here? Why here?
Yeah, why are you here?
It's like you can be miserable here, you can be miserable there, you can be happy here, you can be happy there.
Right.
Yeah.
I have from my experience, my circle of friends in Ghana, everybody wanting to come to IUP because they have seen my growth. Right? Quite recently, you saw me. I showed pictures of Facebook.
Yeah.
How I came to America, what I looked like then, and what I look like. So just the physical appearance is all vanity, but I tell you, I look more handsome now.
I didn't expect to come back to that.
Right. Then when I came here, I look scrawny. Now
you were scrawny with a pot belly.
Yeah, and now look at me, man.
Now you're thicker with a pot belly.
I got muscles now, right?
I guess we are gym therapy.
Exactly. I go home to Africa one time, and my mom is like, what are they feeding you over there? I'm like, well, the food is good. It's free. It's a lot.
Yes.
Right?
Portion size.
Yes.
Bahamas was different. And
yes.
when we got back in Florida, we stopped and got some food. And Lydia, she's like, you can tell. We can tell we're back here.
It looks different, man.
Yeah.
My first date, and I don't know if I told you the story before, I had no concept, right? So I took my first date ever here in IUP to KFC. And in my mind, you get a bucket of chicken.
You had to buy one, get one. Hey, do you have money to pay for this? Yeah, buy one, get one. You can pay for mine.
$5, you get a bucket of chicken mashed potato. You can't go wrong with that.
No, I can take that, boil that in some peanut butter. I got food for a week.
I was so full, man. I go home and I look totally different. But in terms of the decision to come to IUP, first, when we start looking for schools, you're looking at, okay, if you know somebody who's been to the school before, if you heard about it anywhere, because we really don't know the state. So I applied to City University of New York, CUNY. I applied to IUP. I also applied to University of Aberystwyth in Wales, which is in England.
In Wales?
Yes.
Good for you.
So I got accepted there, University of Wales in Aberystwyth. The tuition at the time was £13,000. If you converted at the time to dollars, it was over $20,000.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was a lot of money. And then I got accepted into IUP, and the tuition at the time for IUP for the whole year was $16. I said $16, $16,000.
Okay.
And then because I was coming to grad school, you actually pay by the credit unit that you register. So if you don't live in the dorm, it came back to around $5,000.
Okay.
So cost wise, IUP was far cheaper than
Yeah.
University of Wales.
So about $5,000 versus 16.
Over 20 grand in
Well, yeah.
Wales, yeah.
So $5,000 for the education and basically 10 to stay here.
Yeah, to feed and
Okay. All right.
the rest. And then the City University of New York was even more expensive.
Yeah.
So the choice to go to IUP was a no-brainer.
Okay.
So I come to IUP only to find out that IUP actually has an agreement with the Ghanaian school that I did my undergrad at.
Yeah.
And because of that agreement, I was getting to pay my tuition as in-state, which means IUP was regarding me as a resident of Pennsylvania, even though I'd never been to Pennsylvania. Right? So then, instead of $5,000, I'm now thinking around $3,000. Like, you really can't go wrong with that kind of choices. Then out of the $3,000, I was given a payment plan, so you don't even have to pay all of it upfront.
Okay.
So I was paying it gradually. So financial wise, it was just IUP that I had to go.
Okay.
Now, if you fast forward going to IUP again, just using my personal experience of how much good IUP has done to me, it's changed my life. Like education really changed my life around. I earn enough to take care of my family, both here and in Ghana.
That's awesome.
And without the education, I will probably not be able to do that.
That's fantastic.
And then so you ask yourself too about the community. So what is Indiana getting out of having international students here?
Can I try to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was selling cars and we got a ton of Penn State students.
Right.
Now, they would come in, mostly Asian at the time.
Right.
And they would come in and they'd all have starter checks from PNC.
Yes.
And they would all write $24,000. Here you go.
Right. They paid off.
Yeah. And it was paid off. So I've noticed that a lot of foreigners that come over here because they have the funds to do so.
Yes.
So that would infiltrate or put money into our economy and build our county a little bit. So yeah.
And you're right. Part of the admission process is the institution or IUP will verify that you have the means to pay.
Okay.
For all the costs involved. So you have to submit a bank statement and all of that. So most people who come here, especially like you said, the Asians, who are actually in the majority in my class group, we just pay upfront. And as you can see, part of the reasons I think the community gets out of it is the business the international students bring.
Yeah.
Over the holidays, all the local students go home.
Yeah.
The international students, we stay. And when we stayed, you know what we did?
Spend money.
Went
to Wolfie's, baby.
You remember that? Every night, Wolfie's, Boomerangs.
Did you like how we just messed up that whole handshake?
Let's go. Let's do the fist bump, yes. Wolfie's, Boomerang, Coney Island.
Yeah.
We were there like every day.
Yeah.
And then if you also look at the lecturers or the professors that teach at IUP,
okay,
a lot of them are not Native Americans.
Yeah.
So it's
not native. They're
actually they're native there, right?
Yeah.
Not I don't even know how to make it look good.
I don't know, but I don't want to get in trouble.
Right. And then apart from them, you also look at the field of medicine. The doctors who treat people here at the Indiana Hospital and other clinics are, I'm trying not to be racist, but they're foreign looking.
Right? Yeah, a lot of them are. Right. There's a mix of everybody. It's a melting pot. Yeah.
Right. So you look at him like, if you're somebody who is not connected or you haven't thought about the benefits of interacting with other people who are not similar to you, you can see how it benefits you personally to have other people come into your community.
And like my life has been enriched because of you, because of the cultural things and the open-mindedness. And I remember selling a card to a woman. I remember her name, but I'm not going to say it just because she was mean as shit.
Right.
And I don't remember what country she was from. And I don't mean that, but she was married to, a mid-60s white dude from Pittsburgh.
Right.
I know those guys better than anybody.
Right.
So she got up to leave and went to the bathroom and he sat there and he was like, I apologize. And I was like, no, I'm like, there's no need to apologize. Because by that time, I started to realize empathy is different in America than it is to other countries
Yes.
when it comes to spending money,
Yes.
especially.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
said she's gone through two civil wars and she's not going to mess with this money thing.
Oh,
You know, she's
yes.
like, she wants what she wants. And if she
Yes.
doesn't get it, she'll just go somewhere else. And I was
Right.
like, I respect that.
And we all get the lectures. Like when I came here, it was difficult to get a haircut.
Really?
Yeah, because I was converting every dollar into my currency.
Okay.
So for a $20 haircut, you're looking at somebody's 2-3 weeks feeding money.
2-3 weeks of money to get a haircut.
Exactly,
That's
$20,
wild.
right?
Yeah.
With the year I came to the US, before my income was a total of $100 a month in Ghana. So if I'm earning $100, from which I'll pay rent, my utility bills, and feed myself.
So to be able to help back home,
Yeah,
doesn't take a ton.
no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a whole lot. Like there are people that I literally give $100 a month to, and you would think I brought them heaven.
Really?
Yeah, it is a life changer. Like there are some people who will take that and invest it, and it will change their whole life. In fact, there was a friend of mine who was struggling and called me and said, "Can you do anything for me?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Oh, it depends. What are we talking about?" And he goes, "Well, I want to set up a business." And now I'm in America. I'm thinking business, man.
Who you
What do you
calling?
think I
Yeah,
am?
yeah,
Right? And it turns out they needed only $200.
What?
Right? So I gave them the $200. They went and opened a restaurant. The first 3 months, they called me and said, "I hired 3 people." And I'm just putting it in perspective.
You're employing people. You're stimulating.
With $200.
That's wild. That's wild.
It is just mind blowing.
Yeah.
And then so you think about it, and all of it. I usually say this to acknowledge and show gratitude to God.
Yeah.
That I came from that, and to now I can sit down and think $200 is beer money, right?
Okay.
But I'm looking at earning $100.
Do you feel guilty when you buy sometimes? Just like not personally, but you're like, I'm gonna splurge. I'm gonna get earbuds, even though I had ones, and here's a couple $100, and then you're like, I could have fed someone for a month.
I used to, but not anymore. And
Yeah.
here's why: because when I started spending and giving a lot of money to different people, some of them I don't even know.
Sure.
I started thinking asking myself, so what am I doing for myself?
And that is super important. And we work
Right.
in the mental health thing, and you have to do good things for yourself sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, and more than sometimes actually.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, but also I don't have kids, so I try to take into perspective like, yes, you have to provide for your kids and you have to do that sort of stuff. So you kind of have to step away. But I think in order to take care of your kids, not just your kids, but your family and
Family,
stuff
yeah.
better, you have to be the best version of yourself.
Yes.
And to be the
Yes.
best version of yourself, you have to take care of yourself too.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
literally starts
Yes.
inside out.
Yes. And frankly, there was a day I went and had a lobster meal in Boston,
Oh yeah.
and it was $80-something. And I'm like, I just put $80 in my stomach. It didn't sound well, right? But then I started to think, just before I put the $80 in my stomach, I have spent over $600 on gifts to people, some my family members, some I don't know. We just happen to go to the same school and we're on the same WhatsApp
Yeah.
platform, and they'll send you a message. So I'm like, well, I won't feel bad about this. I need to take care of myself too. And that's how I rationalize it now.
Yes.
When I was at Bayer, they knew me for shoes. Like I will literally buy the best designer shoe I can afford and polish it every day before I put it on. So that's how I was taking care of myself.
Yeah. And you got one thing. You said about lobsters.
Yeah.
So whenever immigrants first came over, lobsters were so readily available that they fed them to prisoners.
Really?
Yeah. And there was actually like a clause or a rule at some point where like you got to stop feeding these guys lobsters.
They were
like
too good.
Yeah, they were like the insects of the sea, and they were just eating so much. Like you got to give them something else.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Now it's just like $80 for one.
Yeah, to just sit down and have one plate.
Do you have a time machine?
time machine.
Yeah, do you have one?
No, no.
We can go back and buy a lot of lobsters and come back and sell them.
Yeah, and then live back when immigrants started coming here.
Right. Yeah,
That would have been one of the simpler times, though.
you would think, but I think things are relative. It's simple to us because we know so much, but they didn't have the information that we
That
do.
is
So
true.
it's
That is
yeah.
true.
But back in that day too, you'd have a toothache and they'd give you cocaine.
Yeah,
So,
and you said earlier that I was smart, but you're so smart saying what you just said about having information.
yeah.
One of the things Dr. Samuel told me when I first got here was America is built on information.
Okay.
And he's like, do whatever you can to find out what is going on around you at all times. With that information, you can make a lot of good decisions.
Yeah.
And I found it useful.
I feel like Einstein said, "There's no sense in I'm paraphrasing. No sense in remembering something you can look up."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I find myself where I forget a lot of simple stuff, but you can look up a lot of things. But my memory towards important stuff is better
Right.
than what it was before.
Right.
But I don't think Einstein knew Google was going to be a thing.
No,
so-
no. He would look like a dumb guy now. Talking about looking up, I have a funny story. So we had, I don't know if Ashley will forgive me if I said this story.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll talk her out of it. Don't
Okay.
worry. I sold her 2 cars. I can do that. Don't worry.
So we had mold growing out at the bottom of the bathroom.
Okay.
And she tried to control it, clean it, whatever, it wasn't going. So I actually just went in with a scrape.
Yeah.
And scrape it all up. Right. So she actually said, how did you do it? And now I have a weapon because she doesn't know.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I use a Punjabi charm. She goes, what is a Punjabi charm? And I said, well, you turn around, pee on the mold, and do the Punjabi chant, and it will go away. What I didn't know was Ashley was Googling it. She Googled the Punjabi chant, and there was actually something about it.
What is it really?
I just made it up.
Oh, get out of here.
And I'm like, I should have held on to that story longer and make her believe it. Then whenever there's mold, I want to see her do it.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to tell customers about that. Don't even call me. Do the Punjabi chant. Oh, my God.
Oh my goodness.
Did you get tricked by a lot of people?
Oh, yeah. The swear words, how I learned them.
Yeah.
Oh, man, like somebody wrote an incident report to me. I have tears in my eyes because I've laughed so loud. And I'm reading the incident report and I couldn't tell what happened. So I go to this manager. I'm like, what happened? I want you to put in what, who, when, how in your report. He goes, well, reading between the lines. So I read it again. I'm like, what am I missing? All along as he's talking to me, he's holding his 3 fingers up. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I just kept reading, and one of them, the manager turned around and said, look at him when you're talking. So I look at him, he's still holding his hands. I'm like, yes, I'm reading it. So everybody was like cracking up, just how it went over my head.
He was giving you a finger.
Yes. So he said, okay, now watch. And he started pulling one down. And I'm like, oh!
Oh, I love it. One other time this was so much funny. We were way back at Sears, and our friend Brandon used to tell me all the time. He'd say, "Why don't you get back
on the boat?"
He would say, "Get on a boat back to Mahaffey," and that was the joke. It was the whole way back.
Yeah,
to
we used to say to each other, and I don't know if he knew at that time it was offensive, but like we had no idea.
Well, we were all, and it was with the HR manager prior to you,
Right.
and we were standing around the computer, and you were not being able to figure something out, and
Right.
Brandon was being a smartass,
Yeah.
and he says, "Why don't you get back on the boat?" And everybody went, "Oh," like this,
expecting a negative reaction.
HR was like, "Whoop." Nothing. And you just were laughing so hard, and it was like within your first 3 months there.
Yeah.
And what I thought was funny about that was you were just happy to be included in our jokes. because you didn't know any
I
better.
had no idea.
Yeah, and
And
Brandon Bennett with good, he just said it, you know.
and like I said, like sometimes people when they say racism, they're not really intending to hurt you.
Yes.
Like so he joked, he maybe now he can't joke that way anymore.
Well, it's different. It's different
Right.
now than what it was back then
Right.
too.
But then I knew instantly that he didn't mean to hurt me.
Yes.
So we can, in our own circle, have our own jokes. Now, there are some people that will take you to task for accepting it. But again, you always have to
Be kind of true to yourself.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
just
yeah.
say, what is this person really intending?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I have probably said so many words to people
That are offensive.
that are offensive, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they-
I remember there was a couple back. I don't want to get into it. But there's a couple back in there.
when I called you white boy.
White boy. No. Megan is gonna have the worst next couple of days because I'm gonna be like, them things, man. Because I just came from the Bahamas and like white boy, I'm gonna be talking like this for a couple of days. Probably gonna get arrested. I'm gonna get kicked out of the international society.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna tell you the story about me and my mother-in-law.
Oh my god, yes. Can I? That's funny. So I want to before you get to that, I sold my one salesperson sold a car to a gentleman. The gentleman was older, and he was probably 70s. He did farm and stuff like that. And when he came in to sign his paperwork, he's like, I like him. He's colored, but he's a good color.
He's a good color.
And it was like, again, the intention behind it was the same thing. The shirt off your back, I'd help anybody out. Yeah. It's just they don't. It's different. It's perceived different. We have to understand that it was just a generation away. It was just 2 generations away where things were way different. And I do think that African Americans and
Africans
and like Americans, and I think you're treated differently. I think you're treated very.
I mean, I had a girl that basically was attacking black people to me, and I'm sitting there like dumbfounded, like in my face, right? And so eventually I'm like, you gotta watch it, right? I'm losing it here, and she goes, but you're not black. I'm like, what?
What?
Do you know any human being that is darker than me?
No, I don't. I can tell you.
Right? What evidence do you need that I'm black?
Oh God! So
and she goes, "Didn't you say you are from some country?" I'm like, "Okay, country is not race."
Oh, that's right.
It's so funny. Like people. I just think it's ignorance, right?
Yeah.
They don't know.
Because we used to say stuff.
Yeah.
They go see my friend Tanko. He's from Wales. You know? He's from Denmark.
Yeah.
And people would be like, what?
Exactly.
But it's a good icebreaker, especially for sales and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I forget. There was another one I had for
my mother-in-law talking about me talking on the phone. Or
we
wanted to do Zoom call for this.
And we're really hoping this comes over well. I'm going to try to put subtitles across the bottom and stuff like that. I have no idea. I don't care. I have fun.
Hey, I speak English though, but my mother-in-law, now my accent is better, right?
Yes.
Before then, it was very thick.
Yeah.
And most people could not hear me or understand me on the phone. So when Mingle thought about doing this Zoom or Skype,
yes,
one of his hesitation was it wouldn't come across right. So he told me about it. Like, well, I have a story. I did call my mother-in-law one time to wish her a happy Mother's Day. And I don't know what she heard over the phone, but all I heard from her was teaching me how to cook some type of chicken.
What'd you call her for?
Mother's Day. Just
Happy
all
Mother's
I said
Day.
was Happy Mother's Day. Like, to me, it should be easy to get that. She had, I wanted to learn how to cook some type of chicken. And she went on and on and on until Ashley came and said, what did you tell my mom? And I said, I just wish her a happy Mother's Day. And we were all busted out laughing.
What, did you ever ask her what she heard?
No, I mean, she had no concept.
How about her being polite? Was marrying a white woman and having white in-laws and stuff like that? Do you feel like you're looked at differently? Do you feel any weird stuff like that?
I think
your outlook is so good.
Like actually as a person, right from the word go, we got along, and also it started by mistake. She was in Lagos, which is a a city in Portugal, I believe.
Okay.
There's also another city in Nigeria called Lagos.
Okay.
So I saw her standing by the sign that said, "Welcome to Lagos,"
Yeah.
and I thought she was in Nigeria. So we started talking, and while I was assuming she was in Nigeria, she was actually in Europe. I had
Okay.
never heard of the Lagos, Portugal city.
Okay.
And then so the mistake just got us talking more and more until the World Cup of 2016, no, 2006,
Yeah.
that I realized we're in different geographic zones altogether. So after she came back, then we met. To go back to the question, she has always treated me nicely, better.
Yes. Well, it's got to be culturally different for her too. We have to acknowledge that
Yeah,
like this is stuff
yeah,
she's unaccustomed to. So
yeah.
when she goes over there, it's probably a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
she can tell you herself if she was here. Our first trip back home, she didn't find it amusing because I had people who were standoffish. Some of my friends,
Standoffish.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so they didn't want to deal with her. And the thought process was, well, so now you've been to America, you think you're better off. You're coming back with a white lady and
Yeah.
all of that. And the concept is just I went to school, I met somebody in my school, fell in love, and here
It's
we
easy.
are.
Like
Like
it's just a
it's not
yeah. It's
complicated.
not
Yes.
at all.
The person could have been pink, green, whatever. That's the
It
person,
doesn't. It
right?
doesn't. Yeah.
So when we first got together, we were both scared. I mean, this is 2006,
And
2007,
again,
thereabout.
not that far away.
Yeah,
Not that far.
yeah.
You know.
So it took us time for us to meet her parents. I went with her to Bedford, which is Deer Lakes near Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Her mom and
Hold up. Bedford.
Bedford, I think that's what it's called. Deer Lakes. It's kind of like a suburb of Pittsburgh.
Not Bedford.
Not
BED.
Bedford on the
Okay. All right.
Turnpike.
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Deer Lake. So we went to the bar with her parents, and cultural shock for me as well. Because in Ghana or growing up, the way you treat your in-laws, they are like gods.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, man. You got to
Who's
worship
with
them.
you today? Is that your?
That's one of my friend's mom. So let's call
Well, you
her my
said
auntie.
stepmom, and then you said
Yeah.
auntie
Yeah,
earlier, and I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
"You're
yeah,
lying to
yeah,
me. I
yeah.
don't
I'm
hear about
lying,
my husband."
because it's a good friend of mine. That's his mom.
Yeah,
And she basically took care of us when we were in school in Ghana. So
that's awesome.
yeah,
And then, actually, your wife is a French teacher,
yeah. She teaches French and Spanish.
French and Spanish.
Yeah,
So, can
yeah.
you speak those?
No,
No. All right. Can your
French I
boys?
could get by a little bit,
Yeah.
but not anymore.
Your boys, can they speak all of them or no?
Not yet. They don't even speak my native language
But
in
that it.
Ghana. Yeah.
Okay. So I do notice whenever because Ghana is English, but it's like broken. No, I don't want to say broken English,
Pigeon.
but
We
it's
call it pigeon.
pigeon,
Yeah.
like PIDG, like the bird.
Pig. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't spell pigeon
Yeah.
apparently.
Pigeon.
Okay. And because sometimes you'll type like OC something, and I'm like,
Mm.
I only partly understand what you're talking about, and I'm like, get him.
Yeah, yeah. So in Ghana, we have street English.
Okay.
So even the uneducated people, they can speak that.
Okay.
And me and Ashley were just talking about it. Regardless of anybody's tribe in Ghana, it's very difficult to just get a Ghanaian to speak one language throughout.
Okay.
We go in and out of languages because I speak five plus English. So when I start a sentence,
So you speak 5 languages?
yeah,
5 different Ghanaian, 4 different Ghanaian, and
no, five
tradition-
different Ghanaian
5
and one
different.
English. Yeah.
Okay.
So we go in and out of languages, regardless of what tribe language I'm speaking. So she's like, it's difficult to nail you guys down. We have a street version of the English, which was actually developed to talk behind the colonial masters.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we all started. Everybody speaks pidgin now.
Okay. All right. And it was just something almost codeish words
Yes.
you were talking. So
Yes.
you're behind the colonials.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Now I can't talk behind Ashley's back because she understands pidgin. I told her, I was like, I used to use it so I can talk to my friends behind your back.
So now she's not doing any dances to get rid of mold.
No. You're gonna get in trouble with her.
Oh, honey, I can't wait. This was so much fun. We're at an hour now. So I wrote down kayaking. Did we take you kayaking one time?
You threatened to.
Did we go fishing once then?
Yeah, I think we went, but
We like in the woods by the river, I thought. Was that you?
I did go with I think I was with you, but I rode on Kim. What was her last name? They had a boat. There's
Okay.
some lake not too far from
Right around
Indiana
here.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That
Um,
must have been another friend from
yeah.
Sears. I can't remember who it
For
was
you,
doing.
you like doing the rich people stuff, golfing. That's what
I can't.
you've taken me golfing
I
a few
golfed like
times.
twice last year, 0 times this year. So
Okay,
yeah.
because we've gone to a golf near Blaisville.
Yeah, we usually do try to
Yeah,
meet up there, and we the price is a little bit more, but for us to meet there, it's just easier than
right,
one of us spending more gas money and
right.
time and all that stuff. So
And think about me golfing.
I know you're not good.
Yeah, I mean, I
That
didn't know about the game till
is fair.
till a few years ago.
Because we actually play a lot differently, but we
Yeah.
score about the same, so
Right,
it doesn't matter.
right. I had never seen when the first time I talked about golf was at a work meeting, and I said I've never seen a golf stick, and everybody was on the floor. They're like,
Laughing.
"Yeah, we don't call them golf sticks. We call them golf clubs."
You literally said ping pong bat.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Whatever.
And then was it table tennis rack we call it in Ghana?
Mhm.
And then we went to the golf club. One of the guys, managers, took me to a golf course, driving range, and he came. He said, "Hey man, I got golf sticks in my car." Right? And then as soon as he taught me how to swing, I started hitting. I'm like, I actually like this game.
Yeah.
So me and actually stepdad,
Okay.
we go. They have a cabin off of Lake Pamatume.
Okay.
And so the first games, I was like hitting him. I'm like, I'm actually a natural like this. What I didn't know was he was setting me up. So eventually I got so confident and cocky, he put an exploding ball.
Oh my gosh.
And he doesn't usually record, and that should have been a red flag. They pull up cameras, they're taking video. I'm like, no. So I go to tee off, and he said, no, let me tee off for you. So I'm like, this guy is so nice.
Yeah.
Like, why? But it didn't cross me because I don't know what I'm doing. I go stand behind the ball and I whack it. It exploded everywhere. They were cracking up, and still I didn't get the joke.
Did you think you were like, I hit this so hard?
Yeah, I thought I was so strong. I broke the ball.
Oh, Tanko.
Oh
I
man,
love
we
it.
should do this again.
I
There's
know, we're
more.
going to. All right, we got to cut it there. So, yeah, this is going to be fun. I would like to do this at least every, probably maybe a couple weeks. So we'll figure something out. We'll do that. Yeah, we'll. I think we'll pause it here, and I might want to cut it. We don't have to cut this, but
Right.
I'll put a. I think we might do a 30-second commercial so I can.
But yeah, no, yeah.
But
And tell the Canadians to increase the size of their donuts.
that's right.
I went to Toronto
Yeah.
for a work meeting, and they brought donuts. It was so small. I'm like, where's the rest? And don't say your part.
We call those donut holes here.
Yeah, it was so small.
All right. So that's it, buddy.
Right.
We'll cut it sometime. Love you, man. That
Yeah,
was
man,
awesome.
thank you. This is great. All
Yeah,
right.
that's awesome. We usually say love you guys and then go
Oh,
outside.
love you guys, man.
Yeah, say what you got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I love you guys. I've watched the show a couple of times,
Yeah.
and I think this is worth doing. You guys are into mental health.
Yeah.
You're saving a lot of lives. Even for those of us who think we have it together, there are times you just sit down and wonder how you're going to get out of some jam. And I've watched your videos. It's quite helpful. Keep doing it.
Good. That's awesome. I like to say not everybody has physical illness, but
Mhm.
everybody has physical health.
Yes.
So not everybody has mental illness, but everybody has mental health, and that's
Yes.
kind of the thing we like to,
It's important. Keep it up, man.
Yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thanks for having me. though. I
Absolutely,
really
yeah.
appreciate you.
All right. See you guys. Love you guys. Go outside.